So welcome to episode 1 of the breakdown for my latest video, that is Viridian. And also this is like my first time ever recording a tutorial. And I have my video open right here. And this is the first scene. Wait. Yeah, first scene. I'm going to break it down. So this is the blend file for the first scene. It looks scary at first, but it's not really. It's extremely simple. I will break it down like part by part. Also, I like my blend files are like very unorganized, so don't get scared by looking at my outliner right there. So this is episode 1, right? So this episode will be free, and this is like the only episode that will be free. Yeah, and the rest will be on my Patreon. There are like, I don't know, like more than 100 scenes in this fucking edit. And if I break down like every single one, it would take a lot of effort, obviously. So in this episode, I plan to like break down the first 3 scenes. This scene, and this scene right here. I hope you heard me through the desktop audio. Let me turn it down. Yeah. So those 3 scenes, I'm going to break it down. Now they are like basically the same thing. So they should be done in one episode. So this is the first scene. As you can see, there's the butterfly, there's the grass, there's the, where's the water, man? Did I have an ad water? So this scene is divided into, I guess, I would say 3 main parts. That's the butterfly. It's not really visible in solid view, so let me switch to render. This is what it looks like in render view. Obviously, it won't like render super fast. It's in cycles, but that's basically it. Also, a tip: if you're using cycles, just you can speed up your render by like multiple times, like twice. You're like twice as fast, render twice as fast. You just have to go to system and then set it to optics. It's on CUDA by default. Just set it to optics. So this scene right here is into 3 parts: the butterfly, the water, and the grass. So I'm going to disable everything and I'm going to like enable it one by one. So first of all, so this right here is the terrain, like the base of it. So if I go to solid view, it's just, I just took a plane and just sculpted a bunch of stuff on it. You can see that. I just moved a bunch of points around, like I just selected them, set it to turned on proportional editing right here. And then I just, yeah. Also, just select a face, press G to move it, and then you can use your mouse like scroll wheel to change the strength. So like that's a very basic tip. For the grass itself, I use this add-on called Botanic to just scatter a bunch of stuff around. And if you have the add-on, it's not really that complex. You just select, you just go to this plus icon and you select something and then add it. And this part is not that complex. If you have the add-on, you'll know. But if you don't have the add-on, that's okay as well. You can use like just free add-ons for vegetation, I believe. It's called, I think there's an add-on called vegetation that's like free for vegetation. But anyways, I will move on with this breakdown here. And the light is just a spotlight. And so next, the butterfly. And this is like extremely simple as well. Like if you like look at it at first, it might like seem complex, but it's not really. I just took a plane and put a picture of a butterfly on it. If you go to solid view, it's a plane. Okay, it's literally just a plane. And how I did that was I took this, I got this image of a butterfly from Quixel Bridge. Like, let me open the bridge right now. So we have opened Quixel Bridge. Also, just a note, if you do not have Quixel Bridge, please get it. Okay, please get it. You can just go to a bit of Quixel Bridge, just search it up. You just open this, and at first you like it's like designed for Unreal Engine. So like you will see a bunch of like word sentences like made for Unreal Engine, designed for Unreal Engine. But that's not really true. Just if you download the Bridge app, you can like go to the settings and configure it for use with Blender. Oh, the way you do that, you just like download an asset. There's this like settings thing right here. You can go to export settings and just set your export target as Blender. And not only Blender, you can use this with like a bunch of like software, but I use it with Blender mostly. But anyways, what I did was I just searched a butterfly, and there's it's called an atlas. It's basically an image texture. So now I will explain to you how to like make the butterfly from scratch, right? Because like that's the most important part of this scene. You just add a plane and you have to export this. After you download it, you have to export this, and it should export in some time. Just try not to open Blender while it's exporting because it tends to like glitch if you do that. And it has exported successfully, so you can like plug it in. I used the wrong material, so you can plug it in and I can preview it. So this is what you're going to see. Okay, so the first thing you would want to do is go to the shading tab, and here's the material. Okay, so the thing with Quixel Bridge is that if you export materials to Blender, I don't know why, just like it's plugged into the wrong sockets for some reason, but it's really easy to fix, so that's not really an issue. So the way you do that is this is the normal map, it's an emission strength by default for some reason. So you just make it normal, and this is the opacity map, which should go into alpha right there. And this is the roughness map, which should go into roughness, not specular. And this is the specular map, which should go into specular. So now we have like set up the material. So now how do you get a single butterfly? Well, the process is like extremely simple. First of all, you have to enable the Node Wrangler add-on. It's right here. Just go to add-ons and search Node Wrangler and just enable it and press save preferences, or just it should be in this menu. I have it here for some reason, and just press save preferences, and that should be it. So now you can select one of these nodes and press Ctrl plus T to open the mapping node and the texture coordinate node. And what you do is you see the vector like value here. Just select, just connect it to the vector values of all the other image texture nodes. So let me do that real quick. So after you get that figured out, and now it's time for us to actually like basically display a single butterfly. So what we have to mess with is this location settings as well as the scale. So for the scale, I only want to control the X and Y values. So I will create a value node and drag it into the scale. So we can basically also set it to 1. So basically you can zoom in and out. You can also do this without the value node, but you would have to change the X and Y individually. The Z does not do anything. I prefer using a value node. So you can zoom in and zoom out, and you can see right here. If you zoom in enough, only like one butterfly should. And for with that one butterfly, you can mess with the location and get a single butterfly. So yeah, that's pretty easy. Now, how do you make it flap? Because in the video, it's flapping. Hey, look at that, it's flapping. So how do you make it flap? Basically, just create a rig for it, and the word rig might like sound scary to many people, but the one I'll use here is like extremely simple. Just make one bone for like the body, scale it properly, and you're going to go to edit mode, make another bone, I guess, and yeah, move it. And then from here, you would like to make another bone for the wings, like this, and press E like this. Also press E to extrude that way. So like that's how you make a skeleton for this type of stuff. And then you can parent your mesh. Also, this is important. Subdivide it a bunch of times. And we'll select it, and let's select the armature, and we'll do CTRLP and with automatic weights. That should work. Now you might have to like mess around with this a bit, because as you can see, it's not perfect. Like if I want to make it flat, it's not really that natural. And the way you make it like actually flat, it's just animating it. So you can go press R, you can turn on auto keyframe, you can go like 10 frames ahead. Maybe move this R, Y, move this on Y axis, R, Y, move this once again. And hey, it's flapping. So after you made 2 keyframes, you can just copy paste it. And yes, oh, that's not Okay, I have to do it here as well. Yeah, here it's flapping. Now for the third step, how to make that glowing material, right? Like right here, it's glowing. Yeah, it's glowing. And you can see it's not just a plain glow. Well, it's here like the color correction of a flag makes it look like a plain glow, but it's not a plain glow. It's actually like glowing only certain parts of the butterfly image. So how do you do that? So what we basically do is we just drag this around just so we can have some space for the actual glowing stuff. And I actually use this glowing trick quite a lot. So you drag an animation node. Also, you don't really need an animation node. Actually, let me do it without the animation node. Okay, so normally, if you try to do glow, suppose you want to make this glow pink, you would want to come here, come to the emission color, make it pink, and turn up the emission strength to like 10 or something. So yes, this makes it glow, but as you can see, it's a flat color. So how do you not make it a flat color? A solution, very simple solution to this is actually just taking the image texture like the albedo node and making it the color of the emission. So as you can see, it's not a flat glow anymore, and if you want to color it, you can use something like the mix node, make it color and drag it in between the yellow node. So you can basically change this guy's color, make it maybe like color dodge or something. That's what I use most. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can also like use other modes like add and stuff. As you can see, it changes the color based on stuff. So now how do you like, this is also an important part. You don't want to like the dark spots to glow, right? Suppose if you want butterfly to glow, what the hell is happening? So if you want the butterfly to glow, you only want like the bright parts to glow. But this trick makes everything glow. So how to fix that? So I've come up with this myself and I'm quite proud of it. But you add a color ramp node, you add matte node, make it a set to multiply. You set the value of the matte node into emission strength, this color into value, and then into this color node you will plug the image texture of the butterfly. So this basically acts as like if you have used After Effects, you know of the effect called threshold, and yeah, this pretty much does that. It like takes away all the black parts. So if you like pump it up, you can like control the threshold. You can control which points glow and which points do not glow. So yeah, that's the trick I use to make it glow only a certain color. And this particle field behind it, that's very simple. Just add a particle system. I'm going to do it like very quickly here. Add a sphere. Add a glowing material, glow, and set it to emission, and make it a red or something. That's a very ugly color, but it's just for demonstration. You can add a particle system, and you can already see it like happening. So you can move this guy around, maybe like move him there. For some reason, the particles will follow it, and just go to the render tab, set it to render as object, and select the sphere. So this will emit the red sphere as like the object. That's pretty much it for this tutorial. For this butterfly part, actually not this tutorial. This tutorial is not over. So there I just showed you how to make the butterfly and how to make the terrain. Now it's time for the water. As you can see, the water is not just stationary water, it's actually like jiggling and shit. So like it's reacting to the rain that's happening. So many people might think that it's a liquid simulation, but it's not. It's just dynamic paint. It's actually like super easy to make. But just add a plane here, scale it up, add a bunch of subdivisions. Maybe like do 10 and do 10 once again. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so what you want to do here is duplicate this plane, and this plane will serve as like an emitter for our particles. We add a particle system, So this will act as our rain, and this will act as the water, which is as you can see, it's reacting to the rain. I'll also show you how to make the rain in a second. But you can see the water is reacting to the rain. It's like splashing and splooshing and stuff. So what you want to do is go to the emission, like the particle, and the emitter object, and you want to go to modifiers and add in the physics tab, add dynamic paint, and you want to go to dynamic paint settings, and you want to change the type to brush and add brush. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And for this one, for the water, let's just name it water, dynamic paint. And but for this one, use the add canvas option. So for the brush collection, go to collection. So now you have to go back to your particle emitter, and in your like brush settings, you will see source and set the source to particle system. So if you just press play, you will see, oh, you have to set particle system to, yeah, particle system. If you press play, you will see magic. Yeah, it's like actually reacting to the particles. That's pretty much it. That's like the basics. And I will add a water material to this. And now with this HDR I added, you can see it a lot better. You can see the water rippling with the effect of the particles. Now obviously when you make rain, you don't want the particles to be like white balls. You want them to be raindrops. So how you make that is add an icosphere, and you go to the, just select the top vertex, you turn on proportional editing, press Z, G and Z to make it a teardrop basically. And you want to shade smooth or auto smooth, it doesn't really matter. And you can add the water material here as well actually, but just make a new one. Make it a glass PSTF, and that's pretty much it. That's it for the raindrop. Just go back to your particle system and render object and select your icosphere. That's pretty much it. That's how you make rain and water reacting to it. Now, that's it for like the main constituents of the shot. But there's also the camera shake, and I feel that adds a lot. Okay, like a lot. So how you make the camera shake is that, I'll show it right here. Go to solid view. You just have to select your camera and add keyframes for rotation. So just go to your rotation and insert keyframes. Go to your animation tab and make this the graph editor, and this is where all the magic happens. Go to X-Euler rotation. You can also, this menu, press N to bring it up. Okay, just select, press N, select your what the value you want to mess around with, and add modifier knots. So this adds a shake. So now the settings I like to use a lot are like 20 scale, and for the strength I like to use 0.1. So that adds like a very gentle shake. You can also add shake to the other rotational axis, like here. Scale 20, strength 0.1. Yeah, that's add. Let me change this 0.2. Yeah, that helps a lot. Now, you might be asking, is that it? No, it's not. For instance, this is what the raw render looks like. Yeah, this one. This is what the raw render looks like. Okay, now to compare that to the final render, this is what the final render looks like. This shot, this frame is nice. Yeah, there's a lot of difference as you can see, and all of that is done in After Effects, of course. So my work, a lot of it is done in After Effects as well. The most of the effect comes from the color correction. I'll set it to full. For instance, this is my color correction layer, and if I get rid of it, yeah, it's just a lot more lifeless, I guess. But one more very important thing that I added here is that it's raining. Okay, so in this shot it's supposed to be raining, and for that reason I added a bunch of blur like around random parts of the scene. As you can see, there's a blur here, there's blur here. So I feel that just adds so much of a like nice realistic effect, and it's not even hard to do. All you need is like this noise texture that I made using BCC fractal noise, and just did a bunch of stuff to it, and then I made an adjustment layer with BCC fast lens blur and just luma tracked it to the noise layer so that it used the noise layer as a mask for where the blur is to be applied and not to be applied, and there's the difference. So it's a subtle change, but the blur does add quite a lot of effect. And another thing is, of course, deep glow. Okay, we can never forget deep glow. Also, suppose like if you don't want to use deep glow, because trust me, deep glow is like very intensive. Okay, it's very intensive. So what you can do, let me show you right here. Let's add a cube here. Let me add a glowing material to it. I'll set this to 10, make this, I don't know, red. I'm saying this ugliest color. So if you don't want to use deep glow, you can use a compositor inside our Blender. Render this real quick. And once it's rendered, we have to go to the compositor tab. I'll show you how to add a glow, like a really pretty glow, like basically just deep glow, but inside Blender. So you have to use nodes, and then you will get this composite tab. Select your render layer and hold Control, Shift, and left click to add a viewer node. So you will see something like this. Also, quick tip, you can use the letters. You can use the letter V to zoom out and Alt plus V to zoom in. So that's just keep that in mind, because by default it's like very zoomed in and hard to work with. And to make an effect like deep glow in Blender, all you have to do is use the glare. Just type in glare and you will get it right here. So I remove this and I will plug it into the viewer so that I can see it. Okay, so by default the glare is going to be like, it's not going to look very good, so you have to set it to fog glow. So it's going to make like the deep glow type of glow. And now you just have to mess with the settings, like set it to high maybe, and then increase the size to 9. So this will like start to look good. It obviously does not look good here because, well, skew is not a very pretty color. Actually, let me like make it a color that's like actually So here we have one that's acceptable, and once you can see, yeah, it looks nice, like deep glow almost. Now if it's too much, all you have to do is turn down the mix. So put it into the negative values, like minus 0.5. This will like decrease the glow. If you have it on -1, there's no glow, and if you have it on +1, there's only glow and no image. So 0 is like the balance, and if you decrease it from 0, it kind of reduces the opacity of the glow. So -0.8 maybe. Yeah, I think that's a nice pleasant glow, but you only have to do this in cycles really, because on EV, if you go to EV, you have the bloom option. Also, this water material that I made here does not work well at all with EV, so I'll remove the volume, and you will see an option called bloom, and just turn bloom on, and you will have bloom. Okay, so we are almost done with this tutorial, but I want to cover 2 more things. So here, if you look carefully, okay, this is very similar to the blurred thing I showed earlier, and if you look carefully, there's this like displacement going on, like because of the water ripples, the rain and all, there's this displacement going on. If you look carefully, you can see that it's a small effect like the blur, but it adds a lot, I feel. So I will open After Effects here. So here we have After Effects open, and what I used here was a displacement map. It's very subtle, as I said, but watch this. If I remove the displacement map, you can see it loses detail. And the same thing in the next scene. Disable the displacement map. You see that change. So the displacement map I have used here are like I got them from my overlays folder, but it's this one. This is the displacement layer that's like displacing the stuff in there. So that's really simple. Just add a displacement map like effect and set the layer to whatever displacement layer you want to use. And another thing that I want to cover is the light. So the light that I used here, it's not just a regular spotlight. It's actually a gobo light. And what that means is I'll make it in a new project file actually. So by the way, these only work in cycles. So gobo lights, what they basically are like textures or lights, you can say. And now I will configure this light to be a gobo light. Well, it's not called a gobo light. I don't know, like it's just a light with a texture applied on it so that the light is like uneven. But I like to call it gobo lights. All you have to do is go to the light settings and turn on use nodes, and then you'll see an option here called use nodes. Just click on it and this will let your light use nodes, and then go to your shading tab, and then you will be able to add stuff to the light like it's a material. And for the color, let's add a noise texture, color RAM, that as a texture coordinate with CTRL plus T, and then color, and factor to this. And also here for the texture coordinate, use your normal coordinates, and you can already see a difference. It's like it's instead of being a flat light, it is now this uneven kind of light. You know, if you change the noise texture, you can mess with it even further. You can change the scale of the noise. So this method adds a really organic, yeah, that's the word, organic